You'd think for a team from Utah, they would spend less time in the sin bin, but they do take a lot of penalties. On today's pregame show, we're covering Utah with our All-Utah hockey host, Steve Peters. We also talk about more for Annunen and the ever-changing outlook of the Avalanche forward core. Let's start the show.
It is the Toyota Lounge, presented by your Front Range area Toyota dealers. Toyota, the official sponsor of DNVR and the Colorado Avalanche. Pregame coming at you right now. Hi, everybody. What's up? It's Gizmo alongside Rudo. And the pregame show is presented by cool, refreshing, cold Mountains Blue Coors Light. Hi, guys. Glad to have you along for this one. Getting you ready for what I think is going to be a fourth straight victory for this hockey team. They have been playing well. They look good. I think vibes are high with the team right now. And let's get into it. Obviously, we got Petey joining us here shortly. We'll talk with him in a bit, but let's get right into the game notes. Utah as a team, and we got you going a little bit there with the imposters. We're talking about Utah. We're not quite convinced that this is a team that's going to go the distance. It is the Arizona Coyotes, with a New Jersey and a new rink and a residence slightly more north. And the point being is that, listen, you're getting a little bit of a bump from the hype of being in a new place, being in a new city, getting a new little something going on, but more with Petey on it, but I'm not so sure they're the real deal.
Yeah, they're doing that thing that this is weird for me to say because the Avs did this a lot last year, but they're doing that thing where they're scoring out all of their problems when they're winning games. They just score enough that you pretend the problems don't exist. And when they lose, it's because they didn't outscore all of their issues. And you have to be a really, really, really good hockey team to do that for a full season, like Edmonton Oilers level good. Utah is not that.
Right.
So I think it's reasonable to expect them to struggle a little bit as this season goes on.
And I think we'll see that when things calm down, most certainly. I think right now you're in your new building, you got a new logo, everything is fresh and clean and fun, and the world is, pearls and oysters, and we'll see what happens after that. The big news as we get you all ready here, Cal Ritchie sent back down to Oshawa. Not surprising based on the way that last game ended. Pretty much saw that one coming a million miles away. Wagner gets back up, and Annunen, as expected, gets the start in net.
Yeah, no-brainer for Annunen. We talked about it the other day. It is interesting. Kakkonen did get sent down on a conditioning stint today as well. Kind of lines up with us expecting him to play one of those back-to-back games when they get back. But in the immediate, good for Annunen. It seems he's, at minimum, one significant more opportunity for himself. Another good game tonight could really start to put him as... At what point do you start considering him the go-to guy for Colorado?
I think he's the go-to guy right now, and I would kind of, now thinking about it, also venture to say that if he plays well tonight, which I think he will... I think with a couple of days off in between games, you probably play him again.
I would. Again, with three goaltenders, this is not something that I have a whole lot of experience with, so
it's weird.
I don't want to say anything for sure, but unless he really struggles tonight, I think he should be in line.
So, and then the question becomes in the back-to-back, do you throw Georgiev a bone and say that Kakkonen's not necessarily ready to go just yet, which is probably what I think is going to happen. My prediction on the goaltending is that they go, Annunen plays well tonight, Annunen plays against Ottawa, and you see Georgiev get the Blackhawks, and then you see Kakkonen probably get another one, and then decisions.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know how many more games you can genuinely give Georgiev if Annunen continues to play well.
I agree. I mean, you're in the business of winning hockey games right now, and Annunen is helping you do that to the tune of quite a few here. So we'll see what happens. Of course, our man Big E checks in with his 3 keys. E, what do you got?
Here we go. Key number 1 tonight against the Utah Hockey Club. I was going to say Phoenix Coyotes. My bad. Utah Hockey Club. Number 1, new surroundings, perfect roadie. Hey, forget about the start of the season. They're 2-0 this road trip, 3-game road trip. Nice little road trip. No back-to-backs. Make it perfect. New surroundings for everybody. Pretty sure no one has ever played a game at that arena. It's a little different. Petey can allude to it. Probably like the America West back in the early 90s there when the Coyotes were born there in the desert. Obstructed view, doesn't matter. Still the same ice, but fun environment looks like. It's exciting for the Utah people there to get an NHL franchise. So make it count tonight. If you're the Avalanche, go out there, have some fun. It's always fun when you have your first visit somewhere. Number 2, play below the goal line. I do believe tonight it's important. It's important that they do their best impression of Wayne Gretzky, the office behind the net. Make their Ds turn their feet. Make them face the other way. It's very important with the absence of Sean Durzi and obviously John Marino. Those are big holes. Lamoureux's been called up. Not sure. Petey can allude to that as well. Is he going to play? But those are 2 big key, pieces that they are missing. Obviously, they had changed their decor with Sergachev as well. Obviously, Sergachev is in the lineup. But make those Ds turn, make them make decisions, and that's when things can get a little dicey, especially against the high-powered offense of the Avalanche. Number 3, pivot on the fly. Listen, I like to give him a little bit of grief there, Kiviranta. But I'll tell you one thing. He pivoted on the fly. What do I mean by that? If you're asked to play backup goalie by the coach, go play backup goalie. If you're asked to play center, left wing, right wing, second line, fourth line, third line, go do it. Go do your job, especially in the predicament that they're in here. The first 20 games or so of the season, Kiviranta answered the bell. That's what I mean by pivot on the fly. Figure out what the coaches want and go and do it. I think that you saw that a lot. Maybe tonight, is it Miles Wood? We've seen that a little bit last couple games where he's going up and down in different situations. Is it Ivan? Who knows? I think there's a little more in the tank there. Is it Kovalenko that obviously has had a good start? Can he do more? Possibly. Pivot on the fly.
Okay, always loves E's insight, and when we think about it tonight, we just got to look at the lineup, little things, this team starting to sort of take shape on what will be the new normal.
Yeah.
Now that movement is kind of sort of happening.
Yeah, at this point, I think you kind of have to keep Ross Colton in the top 6 going forward,
Sure.
So that's established. With Richie gone, that's a permanent move. That's not a guy that they can bring back from Oshawa, so that's done.
Yep.
That brings Chris Wagner back into the bottom of this lineup. I think the Avs felt like they needed a little bit more stability down there. It is a little bit weird at the moment. You're going to have Kiviranta move up to that third line for the interim until they get one of Leckie or Druin back, but look, the Avs have put together a bottom 6 that's going to play solid, low-event hockey like we've talked about. Not every night you're going to get a bunch of goals from them, but you should start to get more consistent possession out of them with the guys they're going with.
And you want to talk stats? I know.
Yeah,
let's get into some
we'll go
stats
quick
for
here,
tonight.
but
Yeah, I know we got a lot
don't have
going
to
on
spend
today.
too much on these. But Utah actually a pretty low shots on goal team, despite being a good possession team. They don't get a ton of quality, and then the PDO. Just stands for PDO. Weird. I have to put a weird stat in every single one. Generally speaking, PDO is considered a luck stat, and both Utah and the Avs have been generally unlucky this season. It's a stat that should trend towards a full 1.0. The Avs at .935, Utah at .988. So 2 teams that really probably deserve a little bit more luck. Maybe the most important one here, though, net penalties. -7 for Utah. They give up at least one more penalty a game than they get. So you should get a lot of power play opportunities if you're the Avs in this hockey game. Jump on them, draw some calls. You can win the game that way. Also, hits. Avs take a lot of knocks from our chat and around the Avs world for not being a strong enough, capable team. Utah has the 31st in hits in the league. They are one of the softest teams in the NHL. Even a team like the Avs should be able to go out and bully that team a little bit tonight. So.
Well, Let's see if that happens. I would like that.
And then lastly, overtimes. Utah's been in 4 of them. They play close games. There's a pretty good chance the Avs are going to have to eke out a close one on a night like tonight, especially in a divisional matchup. Would prefer it not to go to overtime, but be ready to win by 1 goal.
Wow. You're like a little miniature Buddha over there. This guy right here. I think you're right. I think it's going to be a tighter game than we think. I think the incremental difficulty that these guys are facing is there. Again, don't think that Utah is a great hockey club, but right now they are definitely existing and getting a little bit of kick from the newness, right? It's like when you get a new car, you get a new toy, like you're ready to go. So we'll see exactly what happens out of them. I think it'll be an interesting game. I expect them to try to jump on the Avs a bit tonight, and I would like to see the Avs reverse very quickly and sort of push back, much like they did the other night against Seattle. All right, Steve Peters is our man down in PHNX, and obviously they became the Utah Hockey Club, so it's a little bit of a weird situation for those guys. But we appreciate him always taking the time. What a great hockey mind he is. You had a chance to catch up with him, so let's see what you and Petey had to talk about.
Colorado versus Utah. Who better to join our pregame than the man who does everything for All-City Hockey, but maybe more importantly for this case, the All-Utah Hockey host himself, Petey. Thanks for coming on the show. Has it at least been a fun team, even if it might not be located where you want it to be?
You know, it is. What's interesting is that this team, we saw it evolve in Arizona. We saw them draft these players. We saw these players grow. They've taken another step. This Utah Hockey Club is better. And I think the addition of Sergachev and adding a legitimate number 1 defenseman has made this team exciting to watch. So, yeah, they've taken a step. It's this fun story in the NHL so far this year.
I wanted to start with exactly that. Out of the gates this year, you've seen Dylan Ginther started extremely hot. Maybe he's cooled off a little bit, but you've also seen it looks like Barrett Hayton taking the next step in his career. Logan Cooley has been a great setup man. Is this team growing up a little bit? Are they ready to compete for a playoff spot legitimately?
You know, I'd like to say yes, but the answer for this year is sadly no. One of the strengths of this team was supposed to be their defense, and I just don't know if they defend well enough to get to the playoffs. You've got to be elite at keeping the puck out of your net, and this team isn't that right now. Offensively, fun. Like, they're fun. This Dylan Gunther kid can play, and he can shoot. For a smaller guy, his release, and you're going to see it tonight, his ability to flick those wrists reminds you of Austin Matthews, except Austin Matthews, a big, strong guy, and Gunther's slight, but he's got a great release. And Logan Cooley, right now, he's just got 1 goal on the season, but he's got the kind of hands and skill and hockey IQ that it's going to break through. It's coming. This team is fun to watch. Clayton Keller's fun to watch. And when he's got his offense going, I think offensively his team's going to be okay. I just concerned about them on the other end of the ice.
Well, not to pile on that defense, but obviously the Sean Durzi news with him being out essentially for the rest of the season. There were a lot of moves made by this Utah team on that defense. Is this a work in progress that you expect to get better as the season goes on, or do things like the Durzi situation just make it tough?
This is tough. You know, they brought John Marino, Ian Cole, Robert Bortuzzo, and, of course, Mikhail Sergachev. I mean, the big prize that they reconstructed their entire back end. John Marino still hasn't played. He's still 2 to 3 months away.
Yep.
Durzi, like you said, a guy that took a step this year. I thought he, real offensive defenseman, but he took a step because he didn't have to be the guy anymore because Sergachev's the guy. So Durzi could play a second pair, and that's where he belongs. And so I thought his game evolved. And you said all of a sudden, gosh, this back end is going to be really good. And now you look at him and you go, Ian Cole and Bortuzzo, nice players, NHL players. We like them, but they're older. And it's hard for them to play at the pace that today's NHL game requires. So the problem in the minors right now, you've got a lot of young guys. And so you're going to see Maverick Lamoureux come up tonight, 20-year-old kid. I like him. I think he needs to play a year in the American League, maybe 2 in the American League to develop. They've got some really good players. Dmitry Simashev, first-round pick a couple of years ago,
Love him.
playing in the KHL. Yeah, great player. He's in the KHL. He's not ready. Like, they're not ready, and I don't anticipate Bill Armstrong going out for a short-term solution on the back end. I just don't see it. The one name is interesting. They got a veteran down in Tucson, Kevin Connaughton, who has made his rounds around the NHL. He's a guy I would anticipate. Maverick Lamoureux will play a few games, get his feet wet, see what he's got, and then I anticipate he'll go back to Tucson, and you'll see someone more like Kevin Connaughton that can be your 7. That can be out of the lineup. I would anticipate that's the short-term solution.
Those journeyman defensemen always seem to find their way into the lineup in the NHL. It just happens.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, Eric Johnson still in the league. Yep. Luke Shen just hit his 1,000th. He left Arizona 10 years ago. I thought he was retired, but he's still playing.
Yeah, both Shen and Tyler Myers just played their 1,000th games. So
that is insane. Maybe we could play, Rudo. Maybe there's still hope.
Maybe you, Petey. I don't know about me.
Yeah, nobody. No chance.
Well, what I do know is you did play goaltender. I'm sure you've seen the ups and downs of the Avalanche goaltending, but what about Utah? Is Connor Ingram really the guy?
Well, he is. I think he is. It's interesting because this franchise has alternated goalies in a 1A, 1B for 2 years. Yeah. And this year they finally decided, hey, Connor Ingram's our guy. We're gonna roll him out as our number 1 goalie and giving him the opportunity to do that. Tonight, you're gonna see Karel Vejmelka, who has only 1 start on the season, and that was a loss. Karel Vejmelka, for Colorado Avalanche fans that might not know him, incredibly athletic, very busy. You're going to see a lot of him sliding around. When he is good, he's phenomenal. Plays better when he's active. Like the 50 shots on him, you're going to see a better Karel Vejmelka than if there's 20. And against Colorado, that may be a good thing. He can be elite, stop 50 save shutout, or he can be red rotten and give up 5 goals in 10. You just don't know who you're going to get with Karel Vejmelka. So I think it's an advantage for Colorado again tonight because Ingram, I think Ingram's name is going to come up in the Four Nations Cup for Canada. I really do. He's been that good. So time will tell, but I think the goaltending battle today, Annunen versus Vejmelka, I don't know if anybody would have scripted that one coming out of opening night, but I think the edge might go to Colorado tonight.
I don't even want to call it the battle of the backups because I don't know who the Avs backup is anymore at this point. It's a handful of goalies that are all just kind of in the mix. Georgiev obviously has not earned anything, but Petey, from a goalie's perspective, what have you seen out of the Avs in that position?
Yeah, it's been frustrating because you're giving up goals that demoralize your team in the first 4 games, and you could see it. I've been on with clubs and with teams where you see that the goal that you've got to make that save, and I'm not talking the five bell alarm saves, like just the save you're supposed to make, and when you don't make it, it dejects the bench, and it is hard to dig out of that. And you saw it so many times in the first 4 games. There are saves that Georgiev's got to make. He has to make those saves, and if he just makes the saves that he's supposed to, not the difficult, not the breakaways, not the 2-on-1s, but those are going to go in. Stop the ones you're supposed to. That's all the Colorado Avalanche need. We saw it with Darcy Kemper. You just need to be good and maybe slightly above good. If you had elite goaltending on this team, the Colorado Avalanche, are you out of your mind? Like I've said that for 2 years. I think it's their biggest problem, and it never got addressed. And here you go into another season without addressing it, and now you're 7 games in, going, now what? So yeah, I do think Georgiev. Hey, he was an all-star last year. He's got wins. He can play, but he's got to be better at stopping the pucks that he's supposed to stop. And that's where his game needs to improve, and it needs to improve like now, or they need to go out and try to find somebody.
All right, there you go, Chet. A coach in the league for 20 years just said the same thing we've been saying about Georgiev, so you can't be mad at us about it anymore, all right?
Oh, they still can be mad at you, Rudo.
They'll find a way.
That's what they do.
Find a way.
People on the internet are mad at you? That's so surprising.
Look, everyone knows the Avs like that high-octane style of heavy offense. Yeah. Is Utah going to try and match them step for step there, or are they going to try and muck it up a little bit?
The concern is that they will. The concern is they're going to play fire wagon hockey against the fastest team in the NHL. Mistake. And I think when you're sitting on the bench as Logan Cooley, Gunther, and Keller, the guys we mentioned before, that can play that style of hockey, they're licking their lips. Like, yeah, well, let's go up and down the ice, trade chance for chance. The problem is you can't do that with Colorado. If I'm playing the Colorado Avalanche, I'm slowing them down. I'm keeping my third forward high in the offensive zone. I'm playing my third forward almost like an extra defenseman. And you've seen McKinnon over the last few games going unchecked from end to end. You can't play Colorado that way. If you can stop that top line, you got a chance.
Yep.
And so, you know what? Come out even or better against that line and every shift, and you have a chance. So no, I'm hopeful that Utah doesn't decide to make this a track meet, because they won't win a style game. That they need to muck it up. They need to slow the game down between the blue lines and just try keep everything to the outside in defensive zone. And they have a problem with that because they like to chase the puck in the defensive zone. If you have Cale Makar on the ice and you try to chase Cale Makar, you will lose and look stupid. Yeah, bad things. So buckle it down, tighten it up, play around your goaltender, let Vejmelka get the first one, and don't let him get a second shot. That's how I'd play tonight. I'm worried a track meet is not in the favor of the Utah Hockey Club.
All right, Petey, can they do it? Who you got winning this game?
Utah's got 6 goals in their last 4 games. 2 of those games have been shutouts. Unfortunately, I don't think you can't tell the people in Utah I said this. I like the Avs in this one. I think the Avs power play is too much. Utah is third in the NHL in penalty minutes, and we've seen the Avalanche power play wake up and really take over. I'm worried they get a couple power play goals and they take this one 4-2.
Well, I'll tell you this. If the Avs take some penalties, their penalty kill hasn't been any good either. So Utah has an opportunity if they can draw a few. I'll tell you that much. But we do have to.
We'll all be watching.
Yeah, me too. You know, it's going to be a fun game. It's the Avs' first interdivisional game. So kind of a 4-point night, even if it is early in the season. We'll see. Petey, thank you for coming on. Go tell the people to subscribe to All Utah Hockey and all of your other stuff.
I promise I will. S. Peters Hockey on Twitter and all_Utah Hockey on Twitter. Get it. Go check out the All Utah Hockey YouTube channel too.
There you go. Petey also on pretty much all of our shows. You see him on CHGO and DLLS too. So go follow Petey. He's one of the smartest video guys I've seen in the NHL.
Keep fooling him, Rudo. Keep fooling him.
You're the one who did it for 20 years, buddy. So thank you for coming on again. Let's
Thanks,
go
pal.
jump into the rest of our pregame show.
All right, good stuff. Always on for some checking in with PD. What a smart hockey guy he is, too.
Yeah, I mean, turns out to be a video coach for 15 years. You might have to know what you're talking about.
Probably need to know what you're looking at. We're lucky because we got a lot of that talent, you included, by the way, AJ included. I mean, I've been around this game for a long time. You guys are very, very smart hockey minds. We've got a lot to get to in just a few minutes here. Let's bring in our boy E again. We'll get to the bets in a second. Sorry, Tiff.
Baited.
Hockey in the Rockies with Eric. Biggie, checking in with you, buddy. Let's talk a little bit about the situation with Annunen getting his 3rd straight start.
Giz, I do believe one of the interesting stories tonight is assuming, that Eustace, the big man, going back in there. I love the fact that it's basically you win, you're in, and you produce and you're playing well. It should be that way. No different for the goaltending position. And I love the fact that the Avalanche are going with that mentality. Competition is healthy. I do believe when they did the pickup of Kakkonen, we talked about it at length, at nausea, that it was important for them to get their act together in net as goaltenders and to go out there and do what needs to be done. It's no different than a forward not doing his job or a defenseman not doing his job and he finds himself in the press box. Somewhere, somehow, you got to do the job. Sounds like Eustace has done the job the last couple starts that he's had. Obviously different than the first couple appearances that he had, which were what? No, middle of the game. It's a little different preparation-wise, but last 2 games he's been awesome. He's been perfect. And I go back to one sentence that Bednar said in his presser after the game, which stuck to me like it just stuck with me right away. And I was like, this is exactly what it is. And the sentences was, he made the stop that he was supposed to make. And Rudo talked about it post-game with the analytics saying, I think he was like 10 out of 10 or 12 out of 12 on the shots that he was supposed to stop. And those are important because they're not deflators. You keep your game, your team in the game. Obviously, he did that with the first half where the Avalanche were sleeping a little bit, but he gave them a chance to get their legs from within them. So you know what? Awesome on them. I love the mentality that they're going with right now. And you get some good or superior goaltending, this team will be more than fine.
And we talked about it for just a second there at the very beginning of the show, but we mentioned Cal Ritchie is heading back to Oshawa to play in the Ontario Hockey League. He's going to be very good there, but what's best for him and how does that look in terms of his development, bud?
Is, I do believe, one of the interesting stories tonight is assuming, that Eustace, the big man, going back in there. I love the fact that it's basically you win, you're in, and you produce and you're playing well. It should be that way. No different for the goaltending position. And I love the fact that the Avalanche are going with that mentality. Competition is healthy. I do believe when they did the pickup of Kakkonen, we talked about it at length, at nausea, that it was important for them to get their act together in net as goaltenders and to go out there and do what needs to be done. It's no different than a forward not doing his job or a defenseman not doing his job and he finds himself in the press box. Somewhere, somehow, you got to do the job. Sounds like Eustace has done the job the last couple starts that he's had. Obviously different than the first couple appearances that he had, which were what? Middle of the game. It's a little different preparation-wise, but last 2 games he's been awesome. He's been perfect. And I go back to one sentence that Bednar said in his presser after the game, which stuck to me like it just stuck with me right away. And I was like, this is exactly what it is. And the sentences was, he made the stop that he was supposed to make. And Rudo talked about it post-game with the analytics saying, I think he was like 10 out of 10 or 12 out of 12 on the shots that he was supposed to stop. And those are important because they're not deflators. You keep your game, your team in the game. Obviously, he did that with the first half where the Avalanche were sleeping a little bit, but he gave them a chance to get their legs from within them. So you know what? Awesome on them. I love the mentality that they're going with right now. And you get some good or superior goaltending, this team will be more than fine.
All righty, big thank you as always for checking in with us. Hockey in the Rockies from afar, but that's all right. Technology these days,
fancy
Rudo.
stuff.
It's
Fancy
so
stuff.
Cool. Got like all this tech that we can put into play. Let's talk about betting and our folks and our friends at Bet365 in conjunction with the great Rudo have put together some things. I am cold right now, so I really could replenish a little something. So if you think I need to pull the trigger here, tell me what we're doing.
Look, just like in hockey, when you're cold, simplify.
Yeah, okay.
Don't take any complicated bets.
Okay.
Take the Avs to cover.
Okay.
Take the over.
Okay.
Utah's weak defense, you expect that. The Avs, first divisional game, they should be hot. They should be ready to take this team down. If you want to get a little fancy, just a little, parlay Mikko to score, Kale to keep his point streak going, and the Avs to win. You get plus 260 on that. All of these positive money bets. So you can really win some money, actually.
All
tonight.
right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take, if of those 3, which one am I taking? The boosted parlay?
The boosted parlay is your best money for sure. If you feel confident that Kale's going to keep being Kale, I like that one. So jump on that.
We got to find that one.
It's one of their boosted bets. Easy to find. While you're looking for it, of course, when you do use Bet365, make sure you're 21 or older, physically located in Colorado. And if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER today.
Found
easy
it.
bets.
Got
Bam,
it.
It's that easy.
Let's go. I'm hoping for it. Final thoughts before we get you all set. We've got the watch along coming up, but what do you think happens here tonight?
Take advantage of a Utah team that's down a couple of defensemen. They've got some injuries on that front, so other teams can get injured too. Beat them.
All right. It's going to be a fun one tonight. I think the storyline is Annunen.
It is.
The storyline is Annunen. It's how does he respond to what is basically being handed to him as the net.
Yep.
We've talked about this before. Pressure's a privilege. I wasn't sure he was going to respond to it. Clearly, he is responding to it.
So far, so good.
Tonight will be a very big test. I am, again, going to break this down in 5-minute chunks. I'm very interested to see what happens in the first 5 minutes. Seattle was all gas, no brakes.
It was.
I'm expecting Utah to maybe try to do the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, look, that building is going to be a fun place to be right now. It should be a Utah team that has a bunch of young kids, too. So they sometimes take the limiters off and just go full bore. If you survive, they'll run themselves out like a puppy a little bit.
God, I know that feeling. So many levels do I know the puppy feeling. All right, puck drop is coming up in just a few minutes. Go watch our friends on Altitude, but then have us in front of you on the phone, the tablet, or on the computer with the watch along. You know where to find us. We will be with you for the entire game. Make sure you're subscribing, liking, and if you're not a diehard yet, we've got this really awesome limited time only special to sign up. So get after that and be a part of it. And if you're not doing anything, get your butts down to the DNVR bar on Colfax. We got drink specials, both games on. It's going to be a ton of fun. This place is rocking.
It's popping tonight.
It is popping down there right now. I'm going to go see my boy Noah and get some hydration as we get ready for puck drop. That's coming up right now. We'll see you in the watch along in just a few minutes. Bye.
We all silly like the mayor.